Hi there, it's Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today we'll be doing card number 6 in my Sweethearts online card class. If you haven't gotten your free card kit to make the 7 projects in this class, check out my website www.carolbcrafts.com and find out how you can get the class materials absolutely free with a $60 retail purchase using the host code on my website. Now, if you don't have the card kit, don't worry, I'll give you the dimensions as we go along so that you can make this card along with us. Now, the items that you'll need along with your card kit, you'll need your fine tip glue pen or another glue if you have it, but the fine tip glue pen is highly recommended for this project because of the detail that's in the die cuts. You'll need a sponge dauber if you're looking to sponge around the edge of your label for your sentiment. If not, then you won't need the sponge dauber. You'll need some rich raspberry ink. You'll need a D block with the thank you stamp, and you'll need the stamp with the little bird as well, and you can put that on a D block. These are what you'll need. In addition to, you'll also need your snail, and you'll need some scissors, and you'll also need your piercing tool if you have one. That'll make your life a lot easier. And then you'll need some of the mini glue dots from your adhesive kit. So let me clear this away. You'll also need your Petal palette stamps, and I'll put the number for those on the screen for those who haven't gotten their stamps yet. So here is your kit. It has the striped DSP in it. I'll take all the items out and do a little inventory. We have our Thick Whisper White cardstock. Then we have an envelope with a piece of the white organza ribbon. I'll put the number for that on there. It is a 9-inch piece of organza ribbon, the Whisper White, and you have a piece of rich raspberry, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. You have your DSP is 4 by 5 1/4. Your die cuts. Now these die cuts, all but this one, come from the Petals and More Thinlits dies, which is part of the bundle with the Petal palette stamps if you get the bundle. And I used this die with powder pink, and I used this die with the rich raspberry to get that, and I used it with the gold foil to get that. The little bird die for our birds. Oh, and you will need your Stampin'-A-Jig. I forgot to tell you that. You'll definitely need your Stampin'-A-Jig. So we'll put that in our project area over there. And then the little label also comes from the Petal, what's that? Petals and More. So the only thing that doesn't come from the Petals and More is this little piece here, and I chose it because it's a little bird's nest, and I thought that would be perfect to go with the little bird, to have the little bird sitting in a nest. And that nest comes from the Swirly Scribbles Thinlits dies. Now there's 3 dies that kind of look swirly like that. This is the one that you want to use, the one that has the little leaves, and that is cut in Calypso Coral. And I forgot to tell you before I clear everything away, there's 3 little the pearls, the basic pearls, the smallest ones. There's 3 of those that are going to go on to kind of bling the nest. So we'll start with our stamping. And so I'll clear this away, get it out of the way. Let's go ahead and fold our card base and crease that fold. And we can set that aside. Now for our stamping, we'll need our Stampin' jig and our ink, Rich Razzleberry, and then our 2 stamps and our adhesive. And the reason we need our adhesive is because we're going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of our bird to keep it in place while we stamp it. And I give you extra, you only need 1, but anytime you have a stamping image, I always give you 2, just in case you need it. So we'll bring in our Stampin' jig, and I use the rougher side. Get our ink ready, and ink up our stamp, the little bird stamp, and that'll give us an image, so we can place that image over our bird so that we can get this ink where we want it. And that looks good. So I'll ink up my stamp again, and I'm going to put it in the corner and go straight down, and I have my bird. So I'm going to clean this off with a baby wipe, and I'll clean off my Stampin' jig sheet with a baby wipe. And I don't usually show this, but I thought I would go ahead and show it today. When I have my plastic is wet and I want to reuse it, I usually use like a microfiber cloth. We used to sell this one for Stampin' Up, but you can use any, like what you get for your glasses. Those kinds of microfiber cloths will work as well. I just like to keep it handy. Paper towel can leave fibers, and that can mess up your stamping. Well, he's stuck down there. Let me get it up. I'll pry it up. You might have the same problem at home, so we'll go ahead and pry that up. Okay, next we're going to do our label. So we'll go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of our label and put it in place. Put it right there. And we'll take our thank you stamp, ink it up, and stamp our plastic, and then we'll position it over our label. Put our Stampin' jig in place. I think that's good. Go straight down and straight up. Clean off our stamp and our plastic. So now we're finished with this, and if you wanted to stamp something on the inside, this would be the time to do that. If you wanted to stamp, let's find our stamps. So if you wanted to put something on the inside, you could put thank you from the heart, thank you for everything, thank you, life is so much better with you in it, thank you, I just love you. So, or you could just leave it blank if you didn't want to put anything in there. I'm just going to leave mine blank for right now. So I'll put my ink, well, I'm not quite done with my ink. I'm about to put it away, but we need to, if you want to sponge your label, this is the time to do it. Now this is what it's going to look like if you don't sponge it. which I think is perfectly fine. But if you want it sponged, then this is the time to do it. I like the sponge because I think it kind of makes it blend in. And you can decide how much of the ink that you want. I don't think I'm going to put as much ink as I did before. I'm just going to lightly do the edges. And be careful not to get the ink on the inside of your label. So we'll let that dry. Put our ink dauber away. And we're done with our Stampin-A-Jig, so we can put that away. So now we're ready to assemble our card. So we'll start with our card base, and it looks like we can go ahead and put our panel on top of our DSP panel on top of our rich raspberry panel. And I'm going to use my waxy strip. That's from the glue dots. That's left over from the glue dots, in case you haven't seen it before. It helps to form a barrier between my adhesive and my panel below. Now we want a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. And now this is ready to go on the front of the card. So I'll go ahead and push that down a little more so it lays flat. And this we want a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. I just love that gold that's in all of the DSP with this collection. It gives it such a nice look to it, such a pretty look. So the next thing we want to do is, now I have put this through, I put adhesive backing on this, and we want this 1.5 inches from the bottom of the DSP. So you can, if you have the grid paper, it helps. Otherwise, you might have to make like a little mark with your pencil, one that you can erase, 1.5 inches from the DSP to the to where you want this point. This point is going to be 1.5 inches from the DSP. So let's take the backing off, and your piercing tool is a good tool for doing that. It might take you a minute, or you could use your nail if you don't have the piercing tool. So I'm going to find my 1.5, and it's not quite to the edge, but it's very close, and 1.5 on that side, and that's close enough. So there we go. We have that, and it is a little forgiving. If you need to reposition it, you can always pry it up with your just don't press it down. Pry it up with your piercing tool before you press it down all the way. Next, we're going to go ahead and put our thank you, and it's going to go just below, and we'll put that on with some adhesive. And I'll use my little waxy strip to help me put that in place. So we want it below, just below it. It's kind of even with that on the side, and that looks good. Okay, so we have that in place. Now we're going to get out our fine tip glue pen. And so you're going to turn this over. So this is how it goes. So you're going to turn it over so it's going to the right. And you'll get your fine tip glue pen. Now you don't want to glue down along the edges. You want about a 1/2 inch in. That you don't want to glue around the edges like that, because you want those leaves to be able to kind of stick up and feel like it's not flat on the paper. Now what I like to do is I like to put a tiny little drop of glue in the larger areas, like in the where things meet, and so I'm not getting all the way to the end because I don't want to do that. Okay, and put your top back on as soon as possible so that it doesn't dry out. Now I'm going to let that sit for just a minute so it kind of gets a little tacky, because I think it runs more if it's not tacky, but you don't want it to set too long, because then it will dry in little dots instead of in glue. Alright, so now we're going to take it and flip it over, and right here, kind of just above where this ends, we want to place our tail, and then this end goes about 1/4 inch from the edge, like that. So that kind of gives you, it's almost directly up, about halfway in, and then you can push it down. We're going to do the same with our gold. We're going to get our glue out again, turn it to the back, and we're going to stay away from the edges. Put tiny little dots of glue. Okay, I'm going to let it set for a little bit. And now I'm going to go ahead and put it on. I'll find a place that doesn't have a lot of glue on it so I can not get my fingers all gluey. And we want this one, this is going to be like right here, right next to this. That's where this is going to be, and then they're going to be together down here. So that kind of gives you an idea where you want this. And you're just going to push it down and hold it down. Hopefully it's going to stick. You might have to hold it in place. Okay, so it looks like it's wanting to stand up a little bit here on the ends. And just keep pushing it down till it decides it's going to stick. Alright, so I may have to put some more glue on there. It doesn't seem to want to stick, so we'll put some more glue on there. Maybe I was not generous enough with my glue. Maybe my dots were not dotty enough. But it's good that you see this on camera, so if you have the same problem at home, you won't feel alone. Okay, let's hope that if I put enough dots on there, it'll have something to catch on to. Alright, let's try this again. So I'm going to try to position it where it was. This one right here. And push it down and hold it in place. I think I'm going to put a block on it. Put these blocks on it. Maybe that will help get it to stay in place. Okay, I think that did the trick. So now we're going to put the little bird nest on, And we want the bird nest. Trying to see, how did I have the bird nest? So it looks like the little leaf that has like two little leaves, that goes to the right. And then this one goes up here to the left so that we can put our pearls. We can put a pearl here, here, and here. And that's going to go just above our petal pink, powder pink piece of die cut there. So we'll go ahead and put on the thicker parts, we're going to put our glue in where we see like the thicker parts of the die cut on the leaves. We can put some on the leaves. Okay, I think that's good enough. Okay, let's turn it over. And we're going to put it in front here, about halfway. And that's where we're going to, and I think I'll go ahead and use my block to hold it down again. Now to put the little birdie on, we're going to use some glue dots. So you can get your glue dots out. And I'll go ahead and just pull that off. Put one behind its head and one on its back and maybe one on its belly. And pull it away instead of up so that you don't bend your bird. And one on the belly. Okay, so I put it so his little feet are underneath this, so it looks like it's sitting in there. So we'll push that down. Now I think I must have trimmed this off, so we're going to just go ahead and cut that right there. We don't want it sticking down, although if you like the look of it sticking down, you can. It might look more natural that way. Let's put our pearls on next. Get our piercing tool. We're going to put a pearl here, here, and here. And now all we have left to do is our bow. So we'll get our ribbon, and I like to take it and make 2 loops like that. Then I cross this one over that one and make like an X like that. Then I push this through this little loop here with my finger. It's usually easier to do it with that finger. And then I gently pull the loops of the bow. Careful not to pull the ends through. And then when you get the bow to where you want it, the size that you want, let's see, that looks a little big. Make it a little bit smaller. Pull it tight. Now it's ready to go on. So we need another glue dot. So just take it and let's see which side looks better. This side looks better. I will take it. Hold on. Fluff those up a little bit. Take it and put it on a glue dot. And then pinch it off. and put it right about there, just above the thank you. There, that looks good. And you can adjust the tails however you want. And then you'll want to cut them like that. So now our card is done. This is card number 6 in the Sweethearts online card class. So if you haven't got your card kit yet, check out my website www.carolbcrafts.com and get your free card kit today with a $60 retail purchase using the host code on my website www.carolbcrafts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for project number 7, which will be a gift bag, a special little bonus for your card class this month. Bye now.